What is happening, guys? Welcome on back. This will probably be the finale of this Let's Play. We just had beaten the final boss, and I actually was going through my inventory. We got the sweet sword. We got the shooting star sword. The interesting thing about this sword is it's not a set-piece sword. So I was thinking like Master of Chaos, you would think, because like we got this from the final boss. But no, this is not, it doesn't say anything like that. It doesn't say set attributes. It's just a standard weapon called Shooting Star. So I'm going to go into the training room just to look at it, see what we can see from it. Talk to Defora.
You've defeated the Master of Chaos, but I can still sense rage within you. This may not be the end, but just the beginning of something else for you.
Okay, enter training ground. First, okay, she has nothing else to say. Let's go to the training grounds. I want to see this sword up close and maybe make some sense out of it. Okay, so... he didn't use a sword like this, though, in the match. I mean, he wasn't a sword user at all. He had a staff. And then the second phase, he spawned in like a phantom sword at one time. So it can do... It's pretty cool looking. I like the look of it. Charged attack grants fire attribute for 10 seconds. Stamina damage increase, max stamina, guard stamina damage increase. So, any type of charge attack will give me fire. Oh yeah, I see it. Yep. So it's a slight... you see the fire... there you go. You can kind of see it from that angle. I think it'd be cool if it was black with the flames. That'd be a cooler aesthetic, I think. But kind of cool. Oh wait, we're not... I wondered... I was like, why can't I do any skills? Because we're not spec'd into the great sword. We're still spec'd in the spear from that last boss fight. It doesn't really matter. I just wanted to try out some... just wanted to try it and just see what it looked like. Pretty cool, though. It kind of reminds me of like a thicker, longer katana, especially with the hilt. Very cool, though. I like that. I don't want to throw that away. I want to make sure and lock that. Okay, I did. Let's see what else we can do here in the... let's exit this place. How do we... yeah. Let's exit here and talk to some people, see if there's any more stuff, and then we'll wrap up with just like a final review, a little 12 list thing that I always like to do for games, just to talk about them a little bit before we end it. I talked to Defora, so she has nothing, or Defrona, she has nothing else.
Khazan, your mission is not over. Chaos is still at large.
I believe it's over.
Become stronger. Fulfill your pact.
Okay, so that's how you do next journey. So I believe you can just like... everything should still be unlocked, so if you wanted to go back to any area, you can. That's cool. Anything at the Grace? We can get our final levels. We might as well put that into Endurance. Because, yeah, when DLC drops for this, I'll definitely be pulling this character back out. For sure. 100%. Getting weight... I want to get weight to A. I don't know if I can get that with this set, though. That'd be great if I could. Even though this is a great sword set, so B is fine with that. Let's see. Phantom abilities. So did we unlock everything here? Let's see. So we could have upgraded this guy to restore stamina by 15% when an enemy is exhausted. We have that option. We have the option to awaken this one, gain 1 netherworld energy when a spirit of advocacy dies. Kind of interesting. Gain 1 netherworld energy when using a brutal attack when you have no netherworld energy. Oh, so, okay. I was going to say, wait, every time you do a brutal attack, you get netherworld energy? That'd be OP. That'd be completely broken. Decrease damage taken by 20% for 30 seconds upon using netherworld energy. This is not I mean, it's not bad. It's really not a bad one. It's basically you're closing out the fight. If you can manage to get the enemy staggered, you get rewarded with another health flask. I could see that being good. Gain 0.5 spirit upon a successful perfect counter. Gain 0.5 spirit upon using brutal attack against exhausted enemy. See, Wolfric is one, I really do like Wolfric. The only reason we stopped using him was just because Keshta's so OP. I mean, whenever I took this dude off, I noticed the decrease in stamina recovery. So I think that is, I mean, other than that, I mean, this dude was the second choice for Great Sword without question. That's the only reason we stopped using him, just because Keshta's crazy good. But that's, I mean, really good. Gain 0.5 spirit upon successful perfect counter. And then gain 0.5 spirit upon using a brutal attack against an exhausted enemy. I mean, those are really small, to be honest. I mean, 0.5 spirit upon a successful perfect counter. How often do perfect counters happen? Not very often. You know, maybe like 5 times total in a boss fight. That's not that much. I kind of would think that would be a little bit more better. They should have done something more better, in my opinion. But anyway, let's go on. Constantine the Devoted gains 5% of the Phantom Form gauge for each unit of spirit consumed. See, this is like a New Game Plus one, I think. I think Constantine is perfect for New Game Plus because I think that's when you can really use Phantom Form. I don't think in New Game you really get to utilize Phantom Form enough to actually see its brilliance. Arad the Swift, this was dodge stamina cost decrease. This is more for a spear user. Decreased damage by 10% for 15 seconds upon performing a brink dodge. See, that's pretty good. Increased damage by 5% upon performing a brink dodge. That's also really good. Yeah, this is... Conrad the Swift is good with spears. I mean, if you... because you're doing brink dodges all the time. So if you're getting that 5% stack with increasing damage, that's excellent. And then we have Atlante the Precise. Gained 0.5 spirit upon defeating an enemy with the Javelin. Range attack damage increases 2%. So if you're building a range build, this could be really useful. And then I haven't unlocked her, but now I have. Maximilian the Impenetrable. Guard stamina damage decrease. Restores 150 stamina upon performing a brink guard. Increases stamina damage by 5% upon performing a brink guard max 5 stacks. That's pretty decent too, actually. Yeah, out of these, though, definitely Keshta is number 1, in my opinion. No matter what build you use, I think this guy can benefit you. And you get him so early, too. He's just fantastic. And then Wolfric is obviously up there. And then depending on your build, you know, I could definitely see some use in Conrad being fantastic. I could also see Atlante, the Precise, being good. But, yeah, those are my favorite picks out of those. I think we got all the memories, too, so we can probably max... if we have any points. I don't think we do. Let's see here. Do we have any points? So everything is maxed. Okay, cool. I still think that's weird. 12%, 12%, 9%. Alright, let's go talk to the other NPCs and see if they have anything for us. And then we'll wrap up with a review, probably. Talk to our merchant.
You saved us all, General. We want to help however we can. The Bantu never forget a debt.
Oh, he sells epic gear now. Oh my goodness. He sells golden pauldrons. Oh man. Sells a Lost Mage's Great Sword at golden. Oh, I gotta buy some of this stuff. Dragon Knight shoes, butchers. Nah, I didn't care for the Dragon Knight set, to be honest. It's okay, but it's not anything crazy. Noble Spear. That's cool. I wonder if he just continues to sell epic gear now, since I beat the game. Very neat. Does that mean I can craft epic gear? Hold on a second. I didn't think I could craft epic gear.
Oh.
Oh my gosh, you can craft epic gear. After you beat the game, you can craft epic gear. Oh, that's awesome. Very, very cool. So yeah, you could go through and craft out your favorite sets. Very, very cool. Let's go talk to those. I talked to her while I'm down here.
You have succeeded. But victory does not always mean happiness. Remember though, time heals all wounds.
They really don't have much to say out of that long-ass journey. These guys are like, yeah, you saved the world from chaos. All right, get back on with your day. Like, that's honestly what it comes down to. I'm like, oh, I just went through an 80-hour journey. I looked at Steam, I clocked in at a total of 87 hours. So minus like, you know, 5-7 hours of farming for stuff probably total. Or I don't know, I didn't farm all that much. I mean, I farmed for this set, but that didn't take that long. Maybe in, you know, 45 minutes at most. The Soul Eater set when we first started out. The Chaos set. So probably at the most, maybe like 4 or 5 hours. So this was like an 82-hour game to get through everything.
I'm almost in tears here. Can't see a thing with all these lovely jars piling up. Just look at all these lovely jars you brought back. How about you become a jar enthusiast like me? Thanks to your help, Dungeon is free.
This guy had a lot to say. I appreciate that, Dungeon. I went through a lot to get your jar, so I appreciate the long stuff. The long conversation. Oh, he has more, but has more dialogue. This is great.
Jars hold more secrets than you'd imagine, and are useful in more places than you'd expect. Once you bring those jars to me, I'll make it worth your while. I've got some real prizes stashed away. My jars are the most gorgeous things in the world. There's a whole community of jar enthusiasts.
I think I've heard this
for a
before,
reason,
though.
you know? Why in the world would I lose my precious jars, you ask? Oh, come on. Anyway.
Yeah, I think that's his dialogue from before. So does his shop, so we could... yeah, so we have all the jars, so we can buy anything now here. Now, the best jar, I think, was the most special jar, right? This was the one that gave you the extra strength 10, set item requirements decreased by 1. Yeah, this is a really good jar. Extra willpower 10. This would be really good for a spear build. But I believe this is the strength one, though. Vibin jar. Yeah, the most special jar. Extra proficiency. This would probably be for the dual blades. So dual blades, great sword, spear. That's a lot of gold. But we got plenty of gold, though. Yeah. Yeah, we got plenty of gold. Alright, I had to buy one jar from him at least. Oh wait, what else did he sell, too? He has other stuff in his store. Does he have all the other stuff for all the other bosses now, too? Looks like it. So... let's see here. How many... there should be 16 here. Not counting those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 bosses? What am I missing here? That's weird. And then this stuff. We never figured out what this stuff was for. Used to craft floating Wayu weapon. Used to craft shooting star weapon. Wait. Crimson meteorite. My sword that I have. Is that... oh. It's a shooting star weapon. So, the whole time we could have crafted these really cool weapons, and I didn't know about that? Is that true? Is that a thing? I could have crafted an ice weapon? And also, like, an earth weapon? How do I craft those, I wonder? I never got the dialogue, the formula for that. Let's go to the let's go to the blacksmith. Because that sounds crazy. How did we go through the whole game without learning how to craft those weapons? I was like, oh, shooting star, this is like from the boss, but actually probably just a random drop.
Took down Ozma. I know he was like a brother to you. But don't forget, what you did saved everyone.
Okay, craft sets. So does he have the... I don't see... Master of Chaos. So you get the Master of Chaos scroll from that. Not that I'm ever going to fight him like that again. Maybe, I mean, I might be doing a walkthrough, so I can't say I'll never fight him again. But I don't see a need to farm him by any reason. Maybe craft? No, this is just standard gear. And this is just like... consumables. Materials. Did I miss the diagrams in this game somewhere for those? Because it sounds like to me that I could have crafted these weapons, but I don't know how though. It doesn't say. So yeah, I don't know. That's a question. That's a mystery that is definitely I want to figure out, because if there's like weapons that I could have crafted to make my journey, you know, even more fun, that would have been awesome.
So, this is Ozma's end. If we hadn't stopped him, he would have corrupted everyone. He would have destroyed the world.
That's all you have to say?
So,
That's all you have to, gosh, they couldn't have wrote just a little bit more to make it feel like you actually did something?
You made the right decision, sir. If you did anything else, things would have been much worse. I hope you can make peace with yourself. If you ever need me, just send word. I'll stand by your side, no matter what.
You did it, General. It was not easy, but you did it. I swear on my life that I will follow you until the end.
Well, that is everybody that I can think of. Is there anybody I missed? You know, there is one other girl, the granny. The granny that left her son here. Or was it her son, the merchant? Might be her son. Yeah, I think it was. She is in one place, and I don't know if she's going to have any dialogue difference, but I'm very curious to see if she does. She's right here standing by this boss. I want to see if she has any dialogue difference. Probably not, because we're loading in a state of the game at this point when we load in, so probably she's just going to comment on this boss.
General, what brings you here?
Well, you were one of the first people I met in this game, so I wanted to come back and see if you had anything for me.
I actually have some information about that ghost within you. The phantom within you loves battle. This sanctuary must have been quite... There is a strangely... I believe it to be the spirit of...
This is all the same
The
stuff.
phantom that resides over the course
That's
of
too
your way.
bad. See, like, CD Projekt Red, if they would have designed this game, they would have made her, like, if you came back to her, she would have, like, definitely thanked you for the whole journey, and, you know, probably warned you about the future, Pat, with, you know, Blade Phantom or whatever. There would have been something, you know. CD Projekt Red always thinks ahead and be like, what if the player returns to her? And that's what makes, you know, CDPR probably one of my favorite studios. I wish other studios would take after them, because that's, I mean, that's so immersive when you're, like, come into a game and, like, you beat it, come back to the end of this one person, be like, oh, they gave you something, or they remembered you, and just something like that to make the game feel more alive. That's too bad. I was really hoping they did something like that, like a little Easter egg. Something that just, like, commensurated you beating the game. That's too bad. There might be an Easter egg somewhere, but I don't know how I'd find it. But that's talking to everybody, though. That's basically everyone. So let's go ahead and go through my little list here that I want to talk about. Just to basically a review. 12 things just to talk about the game. First one is story narrative. Let me go through my list here. Oh, no, wait. I'm sorry. Gameplay mechanics. So when we're talking about gameplay mechanics, this game totally did awesome. Like, that's consisting of combat mechanics and just overall, like, character mechanics of the game control-wise, fantastic. I really think the game did a fantastic job at, you know, doing really cool, unique sets for dual wield, great sword, and spear. I didn't mess a ton around with dual wield, so I don't know everything this thing can do. But, I mean, if we look at things, I mean, it looks pretty flashy. And the great sword, you know, while it wasn't the most flashy to use, it was just a fun, all-out weapon to use. Like, the potent blows really made this weapon freaking fun. You know, big, heavy smash things. And the abilities, too, that allowed you to be able to get those off in crazy boss fights. Like, at first you're thinking, oh, how do you get off this? Oh, well, you just pop Phantom's Knight's Veil, and then you have charging rings around you with heavy pressure, and then you can get off your potent blow because those charging rings around you do damage to the enemy. So they really thought about everything for, you know, if you wanted to play with a slow greatsword, or if you want to play with the beginner spear, you know, this thing just melts everything in the game, and if I do a walkthrough, it will be using the spear. And then you have the dual wield that is just a unique weapon altogether. So, gameplay mechanics, fighting mechanics, they nailed that. That's couldn't be more improved in my opinion. That's like almost a 10. That's pretty much like a 10 out of 10. There's nothing really to say about that. It's just the fighting and fighting in this game was so satisfying. Next one was story narrative. Story narrative, really good actually. I didn't really know what to think when I was going into this. After playing the demo, I was like, yeah, there could be a cool story, but it's probably just, you know, a hard Souls game. After playing through and getting halfway through, when you're, you know, when you lose Elenane, that's when you really get sucked in. When Elenane dies and you're like, shit, they just killed off my waifu. And then you start to really get invested in it, like, okay, what is this chaos? Ozuma, he used to be my best friend, he betrayed us, why did he do that? And it just sucks you in, you keep wanting to come back and read more. And I loved actually how they did that too. We have to talk about the, you know, all the lore pieces, the fact that you go through, you gather these lore pieces, you read more, you learn more about the story, and then not just that, but you use these to level up your attack and stamina damage. And that's just a really cool aspect in my opinion. That's so unique. So that has to be commented on there. But yeah, story-wise, really good. Really solid story. Can't wait to see what the DLC entails. I really liked too that Blade Phantom, he never betrayed us. He's just our home dog, and you know, he's just your friend throughout the game. So that's also a really cool thing. And yeah, story narrative, I'd say it's solid 9.5 out of 10. Graphics, visuals, 10 out of 10. I'm a huge anime fan, and that's kind of what hooked me in the first place when I played the demo. I was like, yeah, this is just, I love the aesthetics of this, the like netherworld type of anime style, darkness, berserk type, you know, atmosphere. I felt like I was in a berserk anime playing this game, you know. I felt awesome playing this game for the most part. There was times that were annoying, obviously, but this was just a great graphic, you know, to graphic impersonation, to walk through all the level designs, just really, really cool when we're talking about graphics and visuals. And it just runs good too, for that matter. We'll talk about performance here. But I mean, just from the aesthetics on the outfits to the world design, I'd say 10 out of 10 on the graphics. That's just, I'm a big anime fan. This hit the bell big time on that. Customization options, pretty good. I do wish kinda maybe that you could customize Khazan a little bit, like different hairstyle or something, like half up, half down, or a man bun or something. Just little things like that. I wish you could customize them like that. Nothing too much, but other than that, customization, I wish there was a transmog system. That would be really cool. Transmog, you know, transmog, for those of you that don't know, basically I could wear this armor, get the stats of this, but I could make it look like something else. I think that should be in the game. Transmog should be in every game. That way you don't have to look stupid and ridiculous when you have an OP set. Because sometimes the sets that are really good are not the most, you know, attractive looking. So transmog should always be in games. So I have to dock a little bit for that, for the customization options and stuff. But other than that, other than those two little gripes, I'd say a solid, you know, 7.5 out of 10 on customization. Level design, pretty decent. This first part, you know, the first part, the level designs is nothing crazy. Scoffa Cave I really didn't like. Prow Village was okay. Ember Ruins, it was decent, but not great. And then, I mean, Mount Hymek, when you restart the game, not very, I mean, that did not really hook me. In the demo, I was kind of like, if the whole game is like this, I don't know. But as we moved along, I do feel like the levels did improve, for the most part. I mean, I don't know. There's still a lot of levels I feel like they could have done maybe better design-wise, just, you know, atmospheric-wise, and made it look better, and just more interesting, but they did get better, I think. You know, Palaman Citadel did get better. Naiden's Quarry, that was... Naiden's Quarry, I didn't really care for that one. And then the Silent Temple, and then Leon's Mine, I didn't care for Leon's Mine. Leon's Mine was kind of an annoying level. Oh, Ravnica Village with the laboratory, that was, I'll say, unique. I didn't like it per se too much, just because it was kind of doom and dark and gloomy, and I know that's like the atmosphere with this game, you know, doom, dark, and gloomy, but I feel like they could have brought maybe a little bit more light into some of these levels to make them a little bit more friendly to go through, if you want to say. I don't like the word friendly in a Souls game. A Souls game is not friendly by any means, or this atmosphere, but just something maybe. As we got, you know, up to here, Lake City Eldervale I liked. This was a really cool level. I did like the atmosphere of that. The mountains, not really. I really didn't care for that. Like, once you got inside the caves, like, the mountains was cool. I wish there was more outside on the mountains. You enter a cave, though, the second you get to this level, and then you're like, oh, it's not mountains, we're back in a cave. So it's like they avoided wanting to be outside in this game. They wanted everything to be kind of enclosed quarters, and I think that could have been better in that case. Imperial Theater was okay, and Visor Gate was kind of just the same. I didn't really like Visor Gate all that much. The last area probably had the best areas of the game. Design-wise, you know, this what they looked like anyway. Capital City Vitaline, I did like that one. That felt pretty open. There was a lot of dark areas still, but it was very versatile. It had inside, outside, pretty big area. Great Temple was also pretty decent. I mean, Reese's fight was so good. And then Imperial Palace was pretty decent as well. So as the game went on, the level design did get better, but I gotta probably give level design 6.5, maybe a 7 out of 10. Next one's sound design. Sound design, 10 out of 10. Everything in this game sounds fantastic, except for, I guess I could make one argument, but can't really dock a point for it, but I feel like, you know, the Great Sword should have a heavier smash to it. The Great Sword, when smacking things around and heavy attacks, it kind of just makes a wallop noise, and I feel like it could make a better noise. I mean, I can go into the training ground area and just show that, but...
You've defeated...
And this is just a small gripe. I mean, this is really a small thing. Because all the other sound they hit, nailed it. Like parry noise, they nailed it. But this noise right here... That. I mean, if you use a big sword in real life to smack that, it's probably going to sound like that. I just feel like it should have more force to it or something. I don't know how they could do that. But just sometimes when I swung my great sword, it just felt like I was swinging like a katana. And when you swing a great sword, you know, there's a heavy feeling to it. I feel like it should have had that feeling to it a little bit better, if that makes any sense. It's like with sound design-wise, anyway. But other than that, all the other sounds in this game were great. From, you know, just things like footsteps, parries, deflects. I mean, when you get a deflect off, or when you get a deflect or a reflection off in a fight, that is one of the most satisfying sounds. That bling, that just is so good, so good. But all the sound design in this game, 10 out of 10. The boss battles, music were great. Reese's, like I've talked about many times, Reese's music and her boss battles, so good. But yeah, I can't wait till the album drops on Spotify. That's going to be definitely a pickup for sure. So yeah, I'm going to say 9.5 out of 10 on sound design. Replayability, I'm not sure on. I might do a walkthrough yet, so I'm not sure about that yet, and it's just because, like, this is a long game, and it's kind of a big commitment, and replayability-wise, I don't know. Like, if I wasn't a YouTuber, I probably would never play this again until the DLC drops, just because, for me, it was exhausting. You know, this was an exhausting game to play through, unlike, say, Elden Ring. You know, Elden Ring, I did, like, so many playthroughs of that game. And I think I was sitting the other night trying to think about that, why that is. And I think it's just because you feel more at home in a game like Elden Ring, and this game is more like a challenge, while Elden Ring feels like just a home to explore, if that makes any sense. Like, Elden Ring is like sitting down for dinner, while this game is like going out for dinner. That's a stupid-ass analogy. But for an introvert, you might understand that. Being like, you know, for an introvert, you know, we prefer to stay, you know, indoors for the most part, you know, don't like to go, you know, out very often because, you know, too many interactions with too much people, you know, wear us out. And this game kind of just felt like exhausting in that way. To the fact where I wanted to play it, but at the same time, I wanted to just get through it. So replayability, I'm going to have to really dock some on that. I'm going to probably have to give it, in my personal opinion, just because of how I felt, a 5, 6 out of 10. Now, replayability-wise, option-wise, there's pretty good options. I mean, if you played with the Great Sword, you could play with the Spear. You played with the Spear, you could play with Dual Wield. So when we're talking like options, if you didn't get exhausted during this, replayability would be like a 9 out of 10. But I'm going to speak, for probably quite a bit of people. I mean, there's probably other people too that feel like that too, I beat the final boss the other night, and I was just like, I sat in my chair thinking like, I am glad this is over. And when I beat the final boss in like other Souls games like Elden Ring, I was like, all right, new game plus, let's go. And it's like I wanted to get back to it. In this game, I actually took a break after beating the final boss before coming back and doing this final episode, because I just wanted to take a break and process my thoughts on it. And honestly, I have no want to go through this again, but except for the fact of maybe doing an easy guide walkthrough for you guys. That's like the only thing keeping me coming back for this. So yeah, I don't know. Kind of an exhausting experience, but maybe you'll have different opinions. I don't know. I'm curious in the comments. In the comments, were you exhausted ever playing this? Performance optimization. So performance optimization, I'm going to say 10 out of 10. There was no performance problems. Maybe there was one region where I was having a little bit of problems, and one of the end game regions, I remember when we were coming upon Hismar. When we were coming up on Hismar, I was getting some frame rate drops. But through the rest of the game, I mean, the game runs at 60 frames per second easily. So, yeah, there's no problems with that. Game runs beautiful. Difficulty balance. This is a hard-ass game. I'm going to say this is the hardest game I've ever played in my entire life. And I played a lot of games, but this does take the top, I think. The final boss in this game was way easier than Ishin Sword Saint. Ishin Sword Saint from Sekiro, he's a very hard boss, but I was able to take him out, 35, 40 minutes. That's it. Final boss for this game took me 2.5 days. 2.5 days of trying different things and, kind of getting lucky. I mean, when I watched the replay of my final attempt when I won, I got lucky, man. There was some dodges I was just spamming the dodge button on. I felt like I just barely got through that, and I did. I would have got hit one more time, I would have been out. And it's just like I don't feel satisfied with that win. I know I beat him, but at the same time, like, this is a very hard game. So if you like hard games, this is definitely for you. Like I said, I like hard games. I like the challenge, but at times this really did push me to my absolute limits. Mentally, physically, there was boss fights, after I got done with the game, and after I killed the boss, I was like, yeah, I gotta sit down and clear my head for a second because I was just so worked up. And usually Souls games, I'm pretty calm and collective for the most part. I can think things through and analyze, but there's some bosses in this game that just wreck you so quick where you don't even get to see much of their second phase, and it takes forever to learn them. And this game felt more like homework, to be honest. There we go. There's a good analogy. This game felt more like homework. I would get done, fighting a boss, trying to fight a boss, and then I'd have to study it and figure out, okay, I have to do this and this, and I have to do this better, and I have to memorize this. And a lot of these bosses, you had to do perfect attempts to take them out, and there was really no room for screw up. And that's something that makes this game so difficult. But with that, there is a lot of options, though, too. I did like, the training grounds. The fact that if you are struggling, you can come in here and select whoever you want to verse and practice with them. So that was always a cool thing to be able to do. Like, oh, you're struggling with this dude? You can spawn him in and, start training. And so you can learn these guys' moves and all this. You can practice, and I really do like this effect, this part of it. The fact that you could just go in the training ground and just experiment. That was just a really cool thing. How do I exit out of here? Maybe that? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that difficulty, I mean, it's a hard game, without question. I can't really dock it for that because that's what this game is designed for. So I don't really have a score for that. I just wanted to talk about it. Multiplayer co-op. There is no multiplayer. No multiplayer in this game. So maybe they could. Maybe that would be a fun thing to put in. I don't know. I'm a solo player for the most part, so that doesn't really bother me. But I could see if you wanted to play with your friends that would be a turnoff. Innovation, creativity. innovation, creativity, I think they did a great job. One thing I have to comment here on this category is the fact where if you go to a boss and you keep dying against that boss, you keep getting rewarded for fighting that boss. And also the lacrima is dropped outside the boss too. So your souls are always outside the boss door, and you get rewarded for trying the boss. So you never have to feel like, oh, I gotta go farm enemies. No, you can just keep fighting the boss and practicing. You'll eventually outlevel the boss. Very innovative. I liked that idea a lot. User interface, accessibility, that's all really good. I really did like that. I like how snappy the menus are. Like, just, they're very snappy. If you want to change something real quick, boom. If you're in a fight and you just need to pop something real quick, boom. It's all here. I mean, everything is so fast. I really like that. So yeah, that's a 10 out of 10. Future things that could be improved. So we've already talked a little bit about what could be improved. I just think that a few things need balanced. I think a few elite enemies out in the wild need balanced. For instance, there were some knights that regain health, and they have plague spears. Some of those knights I just ran by because I could not even stand a chance with them with my build. And I don't know why that is. I tried them multiple times, and I just can't do nothing to them because they get their health back so fast. So I think things like that need rebalanced. Maybe the great sword needs to have more poise. That would be a good thing too. So when you're getting a charge attack off, you can't get poised out of it. That would be good. There's just a lot of little balance changes. I could go on probably for like 20 plus minutes talking about them. But I just think that there's a lot of things that need rebalanced overall. And I think if they went through and balanced things out, gave more poise to the great sword, that kind of stuff, I think this would be a much, much better and less exhausting experience. Because the way the game is right now, I'm going to go back to the word I've used, exhausting. It's exhausting. And I think until they balance this out, it's going to stay exhausting. And I think that really could turn players off. So if they want this to, be a mainstream game, I think they've got to do something with balance. And you might argue the fact, oh, if you're complaining about balance, just turn the setting to easy. You shouldn't have you shouldn't really have difficulty settings in Souls games. I've never been a fan of that, to be honest. I think a game should just be made the way it is. That's why I like FromSoft games so much. I like how there's no difficulty. It's just you boot the game up and you're either going to beat it or you're not. The easy option, it's cool for people that just want to play on easy. I think that's cool. But I don't know. I have mixed opinions on difficulty options in video games. I don't know. So on one hand, I think they might be a good thing for those that just want the story. And two, I think they kind of just mess with the overall balance too. Because I don't know how easy it is. I never tried it. I maybe will boot up a style just to play through it on easy just to see. Maybe not. I'm not sure. But that's just my thoughts on that. Anything else that I can think of that can be improved? Not really. This was just overall a really, really damn fun experience. I really did enjoy this game quite a bit. Even though I did complain a lot throughout the journey and said bosses weren't fun, or this boss is really unbalanced and stuff, and I enjoyed it. But at the same time, I don't know if it's going to be something that I play often. I'm going to play when the DLC comes back out. But that's the difference, between, say Elden Ring and this game. Elden Ring, it's like you wanted to just keep playing. You didn't want the game to end. Or I didn't want the game to end. In this game, I kind of wanted to end. So, I think the balance thing is the main thing. If they can fix the balances, or just balance things out a little bit more, make the game less exhausting, I think that would be good. And I also think the game is a tad too long. I would have been happy with, 10, 12 bosses. 16 is pretty crazy. I think they personally should have done 10 bosses and then saved 6 for DLC. That's my last thing I want to say on this. But anyway, I think we're going to wrap it up there. I've talked for way too long. Did not need this to go that long. But yeah, I highly recommend this game. It's a solid 9.5 out of 10. At the end of the day, it's a must-buy. Must-buy, must-play, if you're a fan of Souls and a fan of hard games, and just a fan of this type of atmosphere. It reminds me of Code Vein in a way, reminds me of Sekiro, reminds me of Wulong Fallen Dynasty, all these games I really enjoyed. It's kind of like a combination of all those, and I think that's what really made it just fantastic. But with that, guys, I am gonna leave it there. Like I said, I might do an easy guide walkthrough. By the time you see this, you'll know, because I would have already started it and probably would have finished it by the time you see this. So if it's an easy guide walkthrough, you can check my channel, and if it's not there, probably I'm not going to do it. So we're just going to leave it with that. But yeah, I think I see a very bright future for the developers of this game, because this was a very enjoyable experience. Absolute peak. But with that, guys, I will let you go. Stay tuned, and much more will be coming soon. And as always, guys, stay strong, and God bless.